Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we will conduct military honors. This will consist of the firing of the rifle squad, the playing of taps, and the folding and presentation of our American flag. President of the United States Navy, and a great nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for Logan's honorable and faithful service.
We have to give our American Legion one of those, like, each of the ships.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call the rising sun. They've been the ruin of many a war. And God, I know I won. My heart was taken. So I knew things. My heart was everything. Now in you, I'll leave. Now you're only thing you never leave. Soon as trouble, and the only time to be satisfied is when he's on trouble. Tell your children not to do what I heard. Spend your lives in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun. To where
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. My name is Martha Green, and I have the honor today of helping send Henry home. Henry. Chief Henry. Oh, Henry. I am one of the many musicians here who were blessed to play with Henry over the years. Music has been his life since he was young. He was born March 21st, 1958, to James and Ora Connelly. His siblings were Jim, Mary Jane, Julie, and John. His wife is Sharon Connelly, and his children are Sarah, Jean, and Caleb. He has grandchildren, Levi, Ian, Jasper, Lily, Carson, and Quinn, and lots of nieces and nephews. I want to personally thank Cass Robertson, the niece who kept me in the loop so that updates on Henry could be shared on Facebook. And she's the one who also asked me to be here today, which I want to tell you, it is indeed, I just feel so blessed. It's a humbling privilege and honor. And even more than all those lots of nieces and nephews. There are lots of his musical brothers and sisters and friends from the years of playing music locally and worldwide. He proudly wore the Ramsey plaid as a marching Highlander Scot, played the tuba, eventually becoming the drum major, which is no small feat. It's no wonder that his favorite place he traveled to was Edinburgh, Scotland. He graduated in '76 from Highland High School, joined the U.S. Navy, and graduated from the Armed Forces School of Music. He was a conductor for the Navy Band and performed at the White House, including Colin Powell's inauguration. He played for and met many celebrities and dignitaries. He lived many places in his 22 years in the Navy, including Newport, Rhode Island, Virginia Beach, Virginia, the Great Lakes region of Illinois, and New Orleans. Pay attention to that. That's an important part today. He loved knowledge. He retired and returned to Anderson in 1996. He became very involved in the local music scene in central Indiana. He played in many area bands, including, but not limited to, Power Train, the Gene Deere Blues Band, Nothing Fancy, Cops and Robbers, Little Red Johnny, Love Bone, the Martha Green Project, and recorded on several albums. Henry could play any song you threw at him. He always played in the pocket, which is how I would introduce him, Henry in the Pocket Connelly. He played with too many musicians and bands to list here. He loved playing music, listening and talking music. He loved the lakes, dogs, and Halloween. He loved eating. We'd play someplace, hey, are they gonna feed us here tonight? Drinking White Russians and relaxing while watching movies with Sharon at home. Henry loved a good joke. It's just too bad he didn't know any. But how he told the joke was priceless. He'd start so serious and lean in. Did you hear about the deaf man who wrote the most beautiful song in the world? And then he'd start cracking himself up with that laugh. And then only to get to the punchline, neither did he. Henry's laugh. And then go, you like that? You like that? And you loved his jokes because of his delivery. It wasn't the joke itself. It was how he told them. And he could tell the same joke to you one day and tell it to you again the next day, and then the next time he saw you. And you would always laugh because it was Henry. And Henry always laughed too, like he'd never said it before. We have another song that's going to play now. It's by Led Zeppelin. That's the way.
I don't know how I'm gonna tell you. I can't let you go. I don't know how I'm gonna do what Mama told me. My friend, boy next door. I can't believe what people say. You're let your head hang down. I'm satisfied as if you're working all day long. You're in the dark side of town. When I'm out, I see you walking. Why don't your eyes see me? Could it be you found another game to play? What did Mama say to me? That's the way, oh, that's the way it ought to be. Yeah. Mama said that's the way it ought to stay. Yeah, yeah. And yesterday I saw you standing by the river. And were those tears that filled your eyes? And all the fish that lay them dirty were dying. And they got you hypnotized. Yesterday I saw you kissing tiny flowers. But all he lives is born to die. And so I say to you that nothing really matters. And all you do is stand and cry. I don't know what to say about it. When all the years have turned away. But now's the time to look and look again at what you see. Is that the way it all stay? That's the way it ought to be. Oh, don't you know that? Mama said that's the way it's gonna stay. Yeah.
Wow. I'm very proud to ask one of Henry's oldest friends, Gary Price, to come up to speak. Gary has provided videos of Henry playing through the years. They were not only connected by music, but Gary and Henry shared a deep, lifelong friendship. Gary, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Margaret. Some of the things I'll be talking about today are probably some repeats of what Martha said. That's because we knew Henry so well. And anyone else who knew Henry probably knew this too. But I want to let you know a little bit probably about things that maybe you didn't know about him. So, first of all, I'd just like to say, I can't give Henry a proper tribute unless I bring out the joker in him first. Love telling jokes, like Martha said. If you knew Henry, you knew exactly what I'm talking about. And prepare, because I'm going to be telling some of his jokes during this. So, for instance, and he loved jokes about musicians. What's the difference between a bass player and a sack of groceries? The groceries can feed a family of 4. Another one. What's the definition of a relative minor? The bass player's girlfriend. These are some of Henry's.
You need a rim shot.
You'll be hearing a few more of these jokes throughout my tribute, so just hang in here, all right? Yes, Henry had an unlimited supply of jokes on just about any subject, but he loved the jokes about musicians the most. Ever since I met Henry, when he was only a little guy, living next door to him as a neighbor, he was always telling jokes. He probably learned them from his brother Jim, who had a few jokes of his own he always liked to tell. Henry was almost 4 years younger than me and became like a little brother. Whenever I'd be outside shooting hoops or playing guitars with our mutual friend Ronnie Mandrell, he would always come over. One day Henry told me, he said, "I'm going to learn how to play the guitar too." And I thought, well, this is going to take a while. Oh, how I was wrong. I tell you what, within 2 years, Henry was playing rings around me, and I've been practicing and playing for several years. Right there and then, I knew Henry was a special guy with a God-given talent. That skinny little kid was growing up. Another joke. That's the way Henry would do it. See, he would stop in between songs a lot of times when we were playing. "Hey, Gary, did you hear this one?" He said, "What do you call a drummer that breaks up with his girlfriend?" "Homeless." Hey, I told you prepare for Henry's jokes here. So Henry, Ronnie, and I continued to play music together and formed our own little garage band, which led us to play down the street at the old Coon Hunters Club. And also, we played a live radio show hosted by DJ Mike Case at one of the old local stations here in town. These events just fueled the fire for the love of music with Henry and me, and just kept us going. By the time Henry was 14, he would often sit in and play with some of the seasoned pros who often played around this area. Henry was always the guy most bands would call on if they needed somebody to stand in for one of their bandmates that couldn't make it. Henry loved all music, so it made no difference to him what genre of music he was playing. From country to classic, rock to blues and jazz, he mastered it all. When we were in high school, I remember the time when a mutual friend of ours, Tad Grundon, a great drummer and vocalist on his own, would come over and we would try to harmonize together on some of the old Crosby, Stills, Nash songs. And whatever else we could come up with at the time. I tell you what, those were great days and memories I'll never forget. As Henry progressed through high school, he honed his talents and skills in the Highland Band. I can still see Henry practicing his tuba routine for the the marching band in our side lot. Henry would get out there with his tuba and he'd go through his routine and stuff up and down our side lot for hours upon hours. You know? He also became, as Martha said, a drum major. Then again, Henry's out in our side lot, doing his thing. But you know, Henry worked hard, whatever he did, and he wasn't a mediocre player or anything. He did his best. High school was just a stepping stone for Henry, where it led him into the 20-year music career in the Navy. There, Henry progressed from the tuba to bass guitar in various Navy rock and jazz bands from Michigan, Louisiana, East Coast. Henry's talent led him to play and conduct the Navy band for several U.S. presidents and Colin Powell, former Secretary of State. Henry even became a chief officer over some of the bands he was in, which gave him the nickname Chief, as many of you have heard him called today. Another joke. Sorry, this is what Henry would do it. Speaking of Navy Chief, the Navy Chief said, "Get over here. What's your name, sailor?" "John," the seaman replied. "Look, I don't know what kind of bleeding heart pansy crap they're teaching you sailors in boot camp nowadays, but I don't call anyone by their first name." The chief scowled. "It breeds familiarity, and that leads to a breakdown in authority. I refer to my sailors by their last names only: Smith, Jones, Baker, whatever. And so, you are to refer to me as Chief. Do I make myself clear?" Seaman sighed. "Darling, my name is John Darling, Chief." Chief kind of clears his throat and says, "Okay, John, here's what I want you to do." Henry was falling, I'll tell you. After Henry retired from the Navy, he continued to play with various local bands. Two of the later bands Henry played were, as Martha said, Power Train, and also Gene Deere. As a matter of fact, Gene will be with us here after a while, I believe, and giving his tribute to Henry. But wherever Henry was playing, or whenever, he would always let me know. He'd call me up and say, "Hey, Gary, we're going to have a gig here. We're going to be playing there. Love for you to come out and see us." I mean, that's just Henry, and I always enjoyed watching him perform. This last year, I was fortunate to talk with Henry a few times before his passing. Earlier in the year, just before he went into surgery, we chatted for some time about his health. But he brought up the passing of my father back this last May. Henry was more concerned about my mom and dad than his own welfare. Like many of our neighbors, we were all like family in a tight group. Henry got somewhat emotional talking about my dad and expressed how much he cared for my parents. Before we spoke our last words together, I tried to encourage Henry by telling him that I wanted to get together with him after he got out of the hospital and got better, so we could get in the studio and record some more of my original songs. That seemed to perk Henry up a little bit. But Henry's spirit, well, that never happened. Henry's not with us to perform today. But unfortunately, that was not able to happen. But Henry's spirit will always be in any recording session that I'm in, as time goes on. I have seen so many postings on Facebook saying that Henry will be missed. That is so very true, but he'll never be forgotten. Yes, it is hard to forget someone who gave us so much to remember. To sum this tribute up, I will say that yesterday brought the beginning, tomorrow brings the end, and somewhere in the middle, we became the best of friends. So long, Chief Henry Connelly. Play well. Thank you.
Gary. That was so beautiful and heartfelt. We have another song that's going to be played by the Beatles. Let It Be.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. But though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Yeah, there will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine on till tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Yeah, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be.
Let it be. You know, I look around the room and I see so many talented artists here. Wouldn't it be great if we could do like a Henry Palooza right now with all the talent that we've got? And one of the most talented people that Henry got to work with, because he played in many bands and with a lot of musicians. And I've always said that musicians in Central Indiana are a very incestuous lot. We've all played with everybody at one point or another. And if you haven't played with them, just wait, you will. It is my honor to introduce a man he has played many a gig with over the years. His friend and bandmate, Mr. Gene Deere.
Hello, everybody. I know we're all very sad today, but it's been that way for a minute. And Henry's in a better place now, we know that, so we can all have comfort in that. What do you call a bulletproof Irishman?
What?
Rick O'Shea.
Good one, good.
That was the last joke that Henry and I shared. He cracked himself up. Wow. As she said, he would start the joke and then start one. And then he would deliver the punchline. And many times you had to think about it and go, oh, wait a minute, this is Henry telling me a joke. It might not really be there. So just laugh and go along with it. The first gig Henry played with us was at the Idle George Museum in Indianapolis, which is quite a gig. And at that point, I'd been playing for many years. And Henry showed up with every one of my songs charted out. This is the first time in my life I had ever felt respected as a musician, was that night. And I'll never forget that. He brought those charts to every gig, and he had them on a music stand. And no matter what song I called, he charted it up, played it note for note. You guys already know this. You guys all who played with Henry already know this. A year later, he still got the music stand in the charts. I walked over to him in between songs and I said, hey, Henry, I think you got this, buddy. I don't think you need those charts anymore. He said, you think so? I said, yeah, you're good. He said, okay, I'll leave my home. He always, I can't say anything that you folks don't already know about Henry. He was the kindest, sweetest, funniest. He was the softest person to touch and shake hands with. And the comfort he brought when he came into the room was palpable. Everybody could feel it. And you all already know that. You all already know that. My family loved Henry so very much. My youngest son, Evan, is here. It's evident of that. He always asked about my kids. Henry came to every gig for a long time with the Jasper story. And the love between him and Sharon is immeasurable. It's actually made me jealous. When I call Mandy on the phone, we just say, hi, how are you doing? Good. It's nice to talk to you. How you feeling today? What are we going to do later? When Henry talked to Sharon on the phone, they sound like two 14-year-old kids that just discovered love for the very first time. every time. And I would think, boy, that is special. He loved you so very much. He loved his family, all of you people. The joy that would come on his face when he would start to tell me stories of Jasper and the other family members was just wonderful. And all of you have talked to Henry and know this already. Joel, he loved you so much, buddy. About 5 years ago, around the holidays, Jimmy Kimmel, the Jimmy Kimmel Show, writes a Christmas song with a band called The Killers. And they had written a song that had Joel's name in the title. And I was so excited about this song. It was a really neat song. And I called Henry. I said, Henry, you got to hear this song. I said, get Sharon to Google it or YouTube it or whatever and listen to this song. It's hilarious. It has Joel's name in it. Okay, I'll do it. So a week or so later, we were at the gig setting up, and I said, oh, Henry. I said, did you get the chance to hear that song that has Joel's name in the title, that Christmas song? He said, yes. Do you know that chord progression is 500 years old? I said, nope. But that's how vast his knowledge of music was. I could literally hear any song on the radio on any given day and show up to a gig that night and say, Henry, we're going to play this song. He'd go, in G. Yep. Okay, gotcha. He knew where a song was going just by where it had been. He didn't have to know the song to perform it. He just had to have you get started, and he knew by where the song was and what had happened in the song, where the song was going. That is a gift. That is such a gift. I mean, there's a kid right there from Anderson that made chief in the United States Navy Band, right there. You know how hard that is to do? The Navy doesn't make people chief unless you are the best. The best. Please understand that. I know you know that. But take that home with you. The United States Navy, if they promote someone to chief to be a shipbuilder, do you think that they're going to promote that person to build ships shoddy? No. They only promote the best of the best to the rank of chief and above. And this is a kid from Anderson right there who just decided one day while they were playing basketball, I want to play some guitar. And you see him right there in his Navy dress uniform right there. Chief Henry Connelly, United States Navy. One of the best musicians ever in the history of this world. And I am so proud that for the last 15 years, 13 of the last 15 years, he, for some reason, made me lucky and decided he was going to play with me in my group. And Henry and Keith and Brett and I, we started doing gigs on a clip that I don't think anybody could keep up with us on. Every weekend plus, every weekend. We were in the van, going to gigs, meeting at gigs. And then when Cassandra joined the group as the fifth Beatle, we were really honored, man. We played at the Water Bowl every 4th of July, and Henry loved that so much. We all enjoyed each other's company so much. And I want to thank Henry's family for the time I got to spend with Henry. I couldn't be more honored in life in any way than to be asked to speak here today for my friend Henry Connelly. I will tell you, in my entire life, he is absolutely the kindest, gentlest, funniest, and just the most wonderful, loving person I have ever been around.
Amen.
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 Please.
Amen.
And he played music because he loved music, but he also played music because it brought joy to people and his family. So take that home with you and think about that. He didn't do it just because he liked to play music. He did it because it made people happy. It lifted people up. And that's what Henry lived for. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Funerals are always supposed to be so somber and serious. And I would think Henry ever wanted that. That's why they call us today a celebration of life. Henry loved jokes. He would tell them all the time. He'd rather be laughing than crying. And that's why we're here today. We are here to celebrate Henry. And just as part of his legacy, when you leave here today, say a kind word to somebody. Say hello, make eye contact. More importantly, call somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Tell them you love them. Tell them you love them. That's one of the best legacies Henry can leave behind, and I am just so proud to be here today to facilitate this. Henry's daughter, Sarah, requested this poem by Mary Elizabeth Fry to be read today, and honey, I am so glad you picked it because it is one of my favorites. It's a fitting tribute to Henry and how he saw the world and his place in it. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am in 1,000 winds that blow. I am the softly falling snow. I am the gentle showers of rain. I am the fields of ripening grain. I am in the morning hush. I am the graceful rush of beautiful birds in circling flight. I am the stars shine at night. I am the flowers that bloom. I am the quiet in the room. I am in the birds that sing. I am in each lovely thing. So do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I do not die. Our next tribute to Henry comes from his loving niece, Cass. I have developed a lovely friendship and relationship with Cass since Henry's illness started. She was the source of how his condition was progressing so that I could post updates on Facebook, because I knew a lot of people would see my posts. And thanks to her, all of this is possible here today as well. And the song we're going to play here, well, we're going to let her talk right now. Then we're going to do the last song. Cass, please come up here. And how about a big hand for Cass, who's there for Henry? So many people couldn't be.
gonna be on my phone, so I apologize. I'm Cassandra, I'm Henry's niece, and I wanna thank everyone for coming today. I know that it's all because you have love for him. I'm gonna try not to take up too much more of your time, but I'd like to share with you some of the Henry that I knew. I've never known a world without Henry in it, and that's why so many of my memories involve him in some way or another. I'll start at the beginning to give you a little bit of context. My grandmother, Mary Jane, was Henry's oldest sister. Her and Henry's mother were pregnant at the same time, and they gave birth 2 months apart. Due to some life circumstances and some death, my grandpa Connelly ended up raising 2 boys the same age by himself. My dad and Hen were raised as brothers and were very close. When I was a kid, our family had matching Zenith televisions, big, huge floor dwellers. There was one very cool and new feature that these TVs had. Do you remember? They had a telephone on them, so you could call through the TV. So once every week or so, Mom, Dad, and my brother would sit around the TV and we'd make a long distance call. Now the other side of the country, Henry, Janet, Jean, and Sarah would be sitting around theirs waiting. We would all catch up. When Henry would be granted leave, it was always so exciting. They'd bring the girls home, we'd have huge cookouts at Gramps' house, we'd go camping, we'd have sleepovers, we'd make trips to old Indiana or Indiana Beach. They came home around Thanksgiving one year, and I had a super cool roller skating sleepover planned for my 10th birthday. It was freaking awesome. Then my mother decided to put on skates, fell down, and broke her leg. Very bad. So my aunt took her to the ER. Meanwhile, my dad would not have been able to handle a house full of 10-year-old girls. So Henry stepped up, came, and we had an awesome party. I don't really remember too many of the details, but none of that would have been able to happen unless Henry stepped up, and we got both of them for the night. Henry was always the calm to my dad's storm, and has helped me my entire life to relax and take the time to enjoy life. I think I was around 15 or so when Henry called me and asked if I would come to a gig that was close. He had some people that he wanted me to meet. So Dad and I made our way to the Coon Hunters Club on Cross Street, and Power Train was playing. And it was always a party when the train was playing. On the break, he introduced me to Sharon and Caleb, and they have made my life so much better just by them being in it. Henry taught me that you get to pick your family, that blood is not always thicker than water. He showed me that the people that you pick can have way stronger bonds and will be there for you no matter what. And I'm lucky that our little version of family, that I get both. As I get older, Henry and Sharon became the adults that I could confide in, the ones I could be myself with, the ones whose opinions they shared with me helped me become a better version of myself. They let me be me, and they didn't force me to be who they thought that I should. They supported me and all of my decisions, good or bad. That's a big thing with Henry. His love was unconditional and it was steadfast. He would always give you the benefit of the doubt. He was always there. He was there for every band and choir concert, every state fair band day, every play, everything. The only thing that ever stopped him from being there was if he had a gig. Family and music have always been a part of Henry's life, and I feel so grateful that I was there for a good part of the journey. When I first moved back to Anderson from Bloomington, I had a really hard time adjusting, and Henry knew that. He started asking me to go see him play because he knew music made me happy. Some were here in town with Rick and Big Larry and others, and some were out of town with Gene, and Henry kept trying to talk to me about this friend of his that he thought that I would like. Talked about this quiet guy who was an amazing keyboard player, had become his walking buddy and one of his very best friends. One day, Hen called and asked if I wanted to go to this really cool gig at Wilson's Winery. He'd come pick me up and drop me off. The only thing is I'd have to sit in the back with the equipment because, his buddy was writing. Well, that was the first time I ever got to hang out with Brett. That was 13 years ago, and I have Henry to thank for introducing us and not giving me a chance to stay in my funk over moving back to Anderson. They let me tag along to many gigs, and I got to experience many amazing moments, music and otherwise. During all of those gigs and all of those fun times, Henry became more than my uncle. He became one of my very best friends. I don't want this to go on forever because it could with all of my Henry stories, but I'll end with some things that I cherish about him. I cherish being a kid and knowing that my funkle loved me. I remember being at the lakes, all of us sitting at the table on the porch, listening to music, drinking, relaxing, and having a great time together, doing absolutely nothing. I was blessed enough to see Henry play music, so much music. There is nothing cooler than seeing people enjoying themselves, watching the people that you love doing what they love to do. I cherish the fact that I got to see Henry feel all the feelings. He was never afraid to feel and to show those feelings, and there's a lot of power in that. And I will cherish his love. Henry loved so hard. He loved his daughters, and he loved his stepson and his amazing grandkids, and he loved Sharon. They have a special, deep love, and death cannot erase that. His love is unconditional and unwavering. I'm so proud that I get to be a part of his story, and I'm so grateful that I've always felt his love. My world seems a little bit darker without him physically in it, but I'm going to keep reminding myself that he's here. He's in every bad dad joke that I hear, in every funky bass line that gets played, and every time I'm going to see someone taking it easy and enjoying the little things in life. He's with me, and he's with all of us. I found this quote today that I thought suited. How can the dead be truly dead when they still live in the souls of those who are left behind? That being said, Henry, thank you for being you, and you will be in my soul forever. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yes. I'm starting to tear up. There with you. We've got another song, Forever Young. And then we're going to open the floor if anyone else would like to pay tribute to Henry.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every one. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong. And may you stay forever young. And may you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Right now, if anyone else would like to get up and say anything, I encourage you to do so. I know a lot of people don't like to do public speaking, even musicians I've found. If you want to come up to the podium, you are welcome to, or you can just sit where you are or stand and just speak from your heart. Is there anyone who would like to come up and say anything at this point? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Well, I think we all know that we all dearly loved Henry. And it's almost like, gosh, how can he be gone? He can't be gone. This can't be real. And here we are at a funeral. But I want to think of this as Cass said, this is a celebration of life. Henry just, he lived. He lived well, he loved well, and we all know he played well. So before we end the service, if no one's going to get up and say anything, this is last call. Last call. Don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Okay, so before we end the service, I'd just like to share a prayer I found for today. It's called the Musician's Prayer. Divine Composer, we start this day on a joyful note, thanking you for all your blessings you have orchestrated in our lives. Help us to live in harmony with others throughout the day. May we be your instruments in concert with your will and in tune with your way, trusting that we always have you as our accompaniment. And at day's end, may we know that we have played a part to put a song in every heart. Who else has touched as many hearts as Henry has? And I'd say a life well lived, a life well loved, and Henry certainly a life well played. Henry wanted a celebration of life. He loved how they held funerals in New Orleans. They were always a party. They were always a party. He loved music. He was never boastful. If you knew, he was just so low key. He didn't tell you, well, I played for Colin Powell. I played for the Queen of England. And he didn't do that. He let his bass do all his talking. And he had every reason to boast. But let me tell you, Henry was a rock star.
He was.
Yes, he was. Who thinks Henry was a rock star? Here.
Yeah.
Give me an amen. Give me an amen. And I say that we're going to send him off in true rock star fashion. Please stand up with me. And let's give Henry one last standing ovation for a life well lived, a life well loved, a life well played. Just remember, people pass, but love lives forever. For you, Henry.
Love you, Henry.
How many people love Henry? Yeah, amen. Well, this is going to conclude our service today. Henry chose some special music to go out on. He loved New Orleans. And I don't think they allow umbrellas in here to do the dance, but music, maestro, please, for the final songs.
brothers. Reverend Satchmo getting ready to get out this fellow something.
Yeah.
My text this evening for the saints go marching in. Get from Brother Hickenbottom down the aisle with his trombone. Blow it, boy.
When the saints go marching in. Dance if you feel like it. Come on. This is all for Henry.
Thank you.
In the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Let's get down in the sunshine. Sunshine.